The Cowboy's Empire, Chapter 1. The stranger in the barnet was a crisp autumn night in Bitterroot Valley, Montana, where stars blazed across the sky, and the Rocky Mountains stood as silent sentinels. The air carried the scent of fresh hay and pine, laced with a hint of damp earth. At a modest ranch, the Lazy H, with its time-worn wooden fences and a faded red barn, a rancher worked late. Under the flickering beam of a flashlight, she checked her cattle, her steps steady on the hardened ground. Known in nearby Hamilton as a woman of few words, she had hands toughened by labor and a heart scarred by old losses. Her father, taken by pneumonia, and her mother, gone soon after. A sharp wind swept the valley, rustling dry leaves, when an odd sound pierced the stillness, twigs snapping on the gravel trail to the ranch. She froze, pulse quickening. Grabbing the Winchester, rifle from her porch, a reflex born of the West's rugged life, she peered into the dark. In the silver moonlight, a figure emerged. A tall man, his cowboy hat crumpled, his flannel shirt torn. He staggered, clutching his shoulder, where a dark bloodstain spread, sticky and stark. "Please," he rasped, voice nearly lost in the wind. "I need help." She hesitated, rifle steady. Bitterroot Valley was neighborly, but it also held tales of troublemakers, cattle rustlers, con men, or worse. Yet his eyes, weary but not threatening, made her ease back. "Get in the barn," she said, nodding to the building nearby, her tone clipped. "No funny business." He nodded, stumbling, to the barn and collapsing onto a hay bale, his hat falling aside. She secured the corral gate and returned with a lantern, a first aid kit, and a water jug, keeping the rifle close. In the lantern's glow, she inspected the wound. A deep gash, likely from a blade, but not deadly. As she cleaned the blood with gauze, he spoke sparingly, his face tight with pain. Claimed he was a drifter, riding between ranches, ambushed by robbers on the road to Missoula. The story seemed credible, but cracks showed. His drawl had a polished edge, unlike the rough talk of local hands, and his boots, though scuffed, were fine leather, not the worn-out kind of cowpokes. She spotted a sleek watch, half hidden under his torn sleeve, and a silver ring with a crest-like emblem. "You don't look like any drifter," she said, eyes narrowing. He managed a faint, almost charming smile despite the pain. "You don't seem like any rancher either." She finished bandaging him, rigging a sling from an old cloth, and left him with a wool blanket and the lantern. "Sleep there. You're gone tomorrow," she ordered, her voice brooking no argument. She locked the ranch house, checking windows, rifle by her bed. Sleep was fitful. The stranger, his piercing gaze, his calm despite injury, haunted her. She rose at midnight, flipping through old ranch records for clues, finding none. Outside, the wind howled, and the barn seemed to cradle more than a wounded man. At dawn, the sun rose, gilding the valley. She opened the barn to find him awake, perched on a hay bale, hat in hand. His shoulder was bound, and he looked stronger, as if the night had restored him. "Thank you," he said, his tone heavy with meaning. "You saved my life. I owe you." Before she could brush it off, he pulled a worn envelope from his leather jacket. "This is yours," he said, handing it over. She opened it, bewildered, finding papers, deeds, contracts, documents stamped with West Star Holdings. "What's this?" she asked, heart racing. He met her gaze, steady. "My empire. It's yours now." Bitterroot Valley stirred, birdsong, mingling with distant cattle lowing. But her world had stopped. Who was this man, and why would he give a fortune to a stranger? The barn, so familiar last night, now held the spark of a twist that promised to change everything. Chapter 2. The Shadow of an Empire. The Bitterroot Valley woke under a crisp autumn dawn, its rolling pastures and jagged peaks bathed in golden light. The rancher stood in her kitchen, the West Star Holdings envelope on the scarred oak table. Its contents a riddle wrapped in impossibility. Deeds to oil fields, tech patents, and Montana ranches, all under her name. The stranger, still in her barn, had upended her life with a gesture she couldn't grasp. She poured black coffee, its bitter steam steadying her, and steeled herself to face him. He wasn't a drifter, and she'd get answers, even if it meant shaking the truth out of him. She crossed the yard, frost crunching under her boots, and found him in the barn, leaning against a post, his bandaged shoulders stiff, but his eyes sharp. "I'm not keeping this," she said, tossing the envelope onto a hay bale. He caught it mid-air, unfazed. "It's not a gift," he said, voice low. "It's survival." Over coffee in the barn, he laid out his story, each word peeling back a layer of mystery. He was the CEO of Weststar Holdings, a billionaire who'd risen from a failing Montana oil well to a global empire spanning energy, tech, and land. His robbery was no random attack. Mercenaries hired by a rival tech mogul had ambushed him to seize Weststar. "I can't go back," he said, eyes dark. "You're the only one I trust." Her instincts screamed caution. Trust? She'd known him for a night, and his empire's shadow loomed large. Her father's battles with Weststar flickered in her mind. Land disputes in the 90s when their aggressive leases nearly cost her Lazy H. "Your company hurt my family," she said, voice tight. He didn't flinch, admitting Weststar's ruthless past. "I was young, greedy," he said. "I'm here to fix it." His plan: transfer Weststar to her, a clean break to shield it from a hostile board and his rival. "You're honest," he added. "The West needs that." But the pieces didn't fit. Why her, a small-time rancher? She let him stay, under guard, while she investigated. Driving her battered pickup to Hamilton, she hit the Bitterroot Saloon, where locals sipped Coors and swapped tales. Weststar was a valley giant, its oil rigs dotting the hills, its tech arm in Bozeman whispered to rival Silicon Valley. A retired banker mentioned the CEO's charity, schools, clinics, but called him a ghost, rarely seen. She scoured online. At the library, Weststar's stock was tanking, its CEO missing, with grainy photos matching the man in her barn. His story held, but his motives didn't. Back at Lazy H, he pitched in, mending fences and herding cattle, his rancher skills disarming. Her crew, her foreman Carl, a grizzled cowboy with a limp from a bronc ride, watched him like a hawk. "He's no cowpoke," Carl muttered. She agreed, but saw something else. His ease with horses, his stories of Wyoming rodeos, hinted at roots like hers. Over supper, venison stew and cornbread, they talked, her tales of Lazy H's near loss meeting his of building Weststar from nothing. But danger crept closer. A black SUV lingered on the valley road, and Carl's men spotted strangers at a gas station, asking about newcomers. She dug into the envelope, finding a Weststar memo about her father's land, suggesting the stranger had sought her out. "You knew him," she confronted, holding the paper. He admitted meeting her father, offering a deal he'd refused. "I respected him," he said. "That's why I chose you." The confession softened her. But trust was a long road. He shared Weststar's ledgers on a hidden laptop, teaching her its stakes: oil leases, AI patents, thousands of jobs. "They'll come for me," he warned. "And now, for you." Night fell, the valley's stars a silent jury. She stood watch, rifle ready, as Lazy H became a fortress. The stranger's empire offered power but carried a cost. Her quiet life was gone, tangled in a billionaire's war. The barn's lantern flickered, casting shadows of secrets, as Bitterroot Valley held its breath for what came next. Chapter 3. Whispers in the Valley. Late autumn gripped Bitterroot Valley, Montana. The air sharp with frost, the Rockies' peaks dusted with early snow. The rancher's life at Lazy H was no longer her own. The stranger, now a constant presence, had brought Weststar Holdings' shadow to her doorstep. His claim of being the missing CEO, hunted by a rival, spread like wildfire in Hamilton. At the Bitterroot Saloon, ranchers and truckers debated over Budweiser. Was he a fugitive, a hero, or a liar? The rancher kept him working, fixing corrals, branding calves. But his polished edges drew stares. Her foreman, Carl, urged her to cut him loose. "He's a storm," Carl warned, spitting tobacco. She nodded, but the stranger's story and his gift of an empire held her fast. By day, he shared fragments of his past over coffee in the barn, his Wyoming drawl softening his billionaire sheen. He'd built Weststar from a single oil well. But ambition bred enemies. A Silicon Valley mogul, coveting Weststar's AI tech, had turned his board against him, sending mercenaries to silence him. His plan to hand her Weststar was a firewall, keeping it from vultures. "You're untainted," he said, eyes earnest. "You can save it." But she found a Weststar contract in his bag, tying her ranch to a merger her father had fought. "You targeted me," she accused. He admitted researching Lazy H, drawn by her father's defiance. "I needed someone real," he said. The truth stung, but his regret seemed raw. The valley buzzed with suspicion. A Missoula reporter, Lena, poked around, her notepad full of Weststar rumors, stock crashes, fraud probes. She cornered the rancher, at the feed store, asking about a stranger at Lazy H. The rancher stonewalled, but Lena's questions hit home. Weststar owned half the valley's oil leases, including Lazy H's borders. Was she a pawn? She grilled him that night, rifle propped nearby. "What's my role?" she demanded. He showed her Weststar's books, billions in assets, thousands of lives tied to it. "You're the future," he said. But his eyes hid more. Danger escalated. Drones hummed over Lazy H at dusk, and Carl's scouts spotted armed men at a truck. "Stop." The rancher rallied her crew. 10 hands, loyal but outmatched, arming them with rifles and grit. The stranger trained her in Weststar's corporate maze, sharing encrypted files on his rivals' moves. Their talks deepened by firelight. Her stories of Lazy H's cattle drives, his of bucking broncs in Cheyenne. A bond grew, fragile but real, rooted in the West's unspoken code. Stand by your own. The saloon's whispers turned hostile. A rancher neighbor, burned by Weststar's leases, accused her of selling out. Lena's article, hinting at Lazy H's ties to a fugitive CEO, split the town. The rancher faced the stranger, demanding all cards on the table. He revealed a sister, a Weststar whistleblower, whose death haunted him. "I'm fixing her fight," he said. She saw her father's ghost in his guilt, but held firm. Trust was earned. As snowflakes fell, Bitterroot Valley tensed, its ranches on edge. The rancher, now keeper of an empire, stood between her land and a billionaire's war. The barn, once a shelter, was a war room, where whispers of power and betrayal echoed. Chapter 4. The price of power winter locked Bitterroot Valley in ice, snow blanketing Lazy H's fields, the Rockies looming like frozen giants. The rancher and the stranger, now uneasy allies, braced for Weststar's enemies. The rival mogul, backed by a traitorous board, struck hard. Hackers crippled Weststar's servers, and mercenaries prowled Montana's backroads. The rancher had signed Weststar's papers, her name on its empire, but the cost weighed heavy. Carl, her foreman, grumbled about city fights bleeding their land, his loyalty fraying. The stranger's promise, to save Weststar through her, teetered, and she questioned his every word. He confessed Weststar's darker deals. Oil spills buried, workers shortchanged, all under his watch. His sister's whistleblowing, exposing it, led to her death, a wound he carried. "I ran to you to atone," he said, voice breaking. But a Weststar email, slipped to her by Lena, the reporter, tied Lazy H to a merger her father died fighting. "You used me," she snapped, rifle in hand. He admitted scouting her ranch as a haven, but swore her strength changed his plan. "We're in this together," he urged. She held back. Trust a tightrope. The valley ignited. Mercenaries raided a Weststar depot near Hamilton, leaving 2 guards dead. The sheriff, outmanned, begged Lazy H's help. The rancher led her crew. Carl, 10 hands, rifles loaded, in a tense standoff at a frozen creek, the stranger's tactics guiding them. They repelled the attackers, but a hand, young Tommy, took a bullet, shaking her. "This is your empire's price," she told him, furious. He took the blame, vowing to end it. They plotted a strike. Expose the rival at a Weststar shareholder, Summit in Bozeman, using his sister's files. The town turned colder. Lena's exposé, linking Lazy H to West Star's fugitive, branded the rancher a traitor. Neighbors shunned her at the saloon, their glares cutting deep. She faced the stranger, demanding loyalty. He shared Wyoming memories, rodeos, his sister's laugh, while she spoke of her father's stand. Their bond tightened, but the summit loomed like a storm. They trained, her with a rifle, him with corporate traps, knowing Bozeman was a trap, or a turning point. Snow fell heavy, Bitterroot Valley a silent battlefield. The rancher wielded power she never wanted, her stranger's empire a chain. The barn, their refuge, echoed with plans and pain, as Lazy H stood defiant against a billionaire's war. Chapter 5. The heart of the West Spring breathed life into Bitterroot Valley, Montana, transforming its snow-draped fields into emerald pastures, where creeks sparkled under the strengthening sun. The Rockies loomed, their peaks softened by melting caps, as Lazy H stood at the heart of a brewing storm. The rancher, now keeper of West Star Holdings' vast empire, prepared for the Bozeman summit, a high-stakes battle to save the company and her ranch. The stranger, the billionaire cowboy who'd stumbled into her barn, was her unlikely partner, his haunted eyes carrying the weight of his sister's death and West Star's sins. Their alliance, forged in blood and secrets, faced its ultimate test as the rival mogul's mercenaries closed in. And Lazy H teetered on the edge of foreclosure, its debts a noose tied to West Star's collapse. The rancher's mornings began. Before dawn, her boots crunching frost as she checked fences. Her crew, 10 hands led by Carl, the grizzled foreman, working double shifts. Carl's loyalty held, but his grumbles grew. "This ain't our fight." The valley's mood was worse. Lena, the Missoula reporter, had painted Lazy H as West Star's puppet, turning neighbors against her. At the Bitterroot Saloon, ranchers, who'd once tipped hats, now whispered betrayal, their distrust stoked by West Star's long shadow, oil rigs that scarred hills, jobs that vanished when wells dried. The rancher felt the sting, her father's legacy tarnished, but she clung to the stranger's vow. "We'll save it all." He opened up by the barn's firelight, his Wyoming drawl weaving a tapestry of guilt and grit. West Star's empire, oil, tech, land, was built on ambition, but stained by greed. His sister, a coder, had uncovered data theft in West Star's AI division, selling user secrets to advertisers. Her whistleblowing cost her life, ruled a suicide, but, he believed, murder by the rival mogul's hand. "You're my redemption," he told her, voice raw. She saw her father's defiance in him but found a West Star ledger in his saddlebag, listing Lazy H as collateral for a merger. "You planned this," she accused, her rifle nearby. He admitted scouting her ranch as a safe haven but swore her courage reshaped his fight. "We end this together," he urged, offering his sister's files, proof of the rival's crimes. She wrestled with trust, her father's voice echoing. "Land's all we got." Flashbacks haunted her, childhood summers baling hay, her father, teaching her to ride, his deathbed plea to save Lazy H. The stranger's own memories surfaced in quiet moments, Wyoming rodeos, his sister's laugh, her dream of ethical tech. Their shared pain tightened their bond. But Lazy H's foreclosure notice arrived, a bank demand for millions tied to West Star's loans. "We lose the summit, we lose everything," she said, eyes hard. He nodded, handing her a laptop with encrypted data, hacks, bribes, murders, all tracing to the rival. The road to Bozeman was a gauntlet. Her pickup rattled over mountain passes, the stranger beside her, his hat low, laptop humming. They stopped at a diner in Whitehall where truckers eyed them, news of West Star's turmoil on a TV above the counter. A waitress, a friend from Hamilton, slipped her a warning. "Men in suits were asking about you." The rival's reach was long. At Bozeman, West Star's glass tower loomed, its lobby packed with investors. Wall Street sharks, tech bros, Montana ranchers with oil shares. The board, half loyal to the stranger, half swaying to the rival, awaited their pitch. She felt out of place, her denim stark against their suits, but his hand on her shoulder steadied her. The summit was a war zone. She faced the board, voice steady, presenting the sisters' files, emails ordering hacks, bank records of bribes, a video of the rival's lieutenant admitting to silencing whistleblowers. The stranger spoke, his CEO polish gone, voice breaking as he mourned his sister and vowed reform. Green tech, fair wages, valley jobs. The board wavered, some clapping, others sneering. Then chaos erupted. Mercenaries, hired guns and tactical gear, stormed the hotel, cutting power, gunfire echoing. The rancher grabbed her pistol, a .45 from her belt, leading board members to safety through service halls, her ranch instincts sharp. The stranger, no fighter, used his wits, rerouting guards with a fire alarm, saving lives. They cornered the rival's lieutenant in a boardroom, her pistol steady, his confession recorded live on a shareholder stream. The rival, exposed, fled, his helicopter vanishing over Bozeman's skyline. The board voted, barely, to back them, but West Star's debts crushed Lazy H. Back at the ranch, the valley's mood shifted. Lena, shamed by her bias, published a BC retraction praising Lazy H's stand and the saloon raised glasses. The rancher and stranger planned Lazy H's salvation, merging it with West Star's ethical arm, funded by Green Tech. By firelight, he shared rodeo dreams, she her father's hope, their hearts entwined. Spring bloomed, Bitterroot Valley alive with promise. Lazy H stood, its barns bustling, the Rockies watching. The barn, their crucible, pulsed with the West's heart, honor, grit, hope forged in fire. Chapter 6. A new legacy summer swept over Bitterroot Valley, Montana, its sun baking Lazy H's fields into golden waves, the Rockies shimmering in haze. The rancher, now co-owner of West Star Holdings, had saved her ranch, its foreclosure reversed, by West Star's green tech profits. Her crew, Carl, Tommy, 10 Hands, was family, their loyalty cemented in battle. The stranger, the cowboy turned billionaire, shed his corporate shell, leading beside her with a humility born of loss. They'd crushed the rival mogul, his crimes now in federal court. But their legacy loomed larger, a chance to reshape the valley, West Star, and themselves. Lazy H buzzed with life. The rancher expanded, buying adjacent land with West Star funds, her father's dream reborn. She launched a land trust, protecting valley ranches from corporate grabs, a nod to her father's fight. The stranger honored his sister with a tech academy at Lazy H, teaching kids coding and ranching. Her vision, alive. A Montana Tribune feature, The Valley's Redemption, crowned them heroes. Hamilton's Saloon hosting a festival to celebrate. The valley, once fractured, united under their stand, its ranches and diners alive with pride. The festival was a spectacle. Rodeo grounds packed, bulls bucking, fiddlers playing. The rancher, in her best boots, judged calf roping, her laughter, free. The stranger, hat low, helped kids ride ponies, his Wyoming roots shining. Lena, now an ally, emceed, her articles turning the tide. Townsfolk, ranchers, shopkeepers, even skeptics, cheered. Their distrust faded. A rival's lawyer tried to stir trouble, claiming West Star owed millions, but the rancher faced him in a town hall, her ledger open, proving Lazy H's clean books. The crowd roared, Hamilton hers again. Flashbacks wove through her days. She recalled her father's lessons, fix a fence, trust your gut, and saw them in her fight. The stranger shared his sister's memory, her coding late nights, her hope for ethical tech, fueling his reform. They faced ghosts together. She visited her father's grave, wildflowers in hand, him beside her, his quiet strength a balm. He built a memorial for his sister at Lazy H, her name carved in stone, the rancher at his side. Their bond deepened, not just allies but something more, unspoken but felt. West Star transformed. Green tech, solar farms, clean oil, replaced old rigs, jobs flooding the valley. The rancher mentored academy kids, her patience endless, while he taught business ethics, his guilt easing. A gala at Lazy H, under a starlit sky, sealed their legacy. Tables stretched across the pasture, lanterns glowing, valley folk mingling with West Star's new board. She spoke of roots, her voice steady, crediting her father. He followed, voice thick, vowing West Star's heart, honest work, valley pride. The crowd stood, clapping, Hamilton's spirit alive. He offered her West Star fully, sole control. She refused sharing it. Their hands clasped under Montana's stars. Love declared in silence. Bitterroot Valley glowed, its ranches eternal. The barn, where a wounded cowboy sparked it all, stood timeless, the West's soul forged anew. End.